No. I want to talk a bit about the Atlanticist system. Hello there, YouTube. This is Imperator of Forge. Forge Warhammer. Forge Gang. I am still a hard man. And I'm going to be talking a bit about Henry Carey and the English system versus the American system, of which the modern Venetian oligarchy, known as the system of Atlanticism, which the United States and Great Britain and the West in general, the Atlanticist powers purport to utilize. So this is from Charles Henry Carey, American publisher, writer, and economist, primary theorist and one of the chief proponents of the protectionist American system. Originally from Philadelphia, Charles Henry Carey inherited his publishing business and his economic ideas from his father, Matthew Carey. An Irish nationalist and political refugee, Matthew Carey had immigrated to Philadelphia and soon entered the book and publishing trade. An enthusiast of Alexander Hamilton, Matthew Carey was a leading proponent of the protectionist tariffs and founded the Society for the Promotion of American Industry in Philadelphia for the purpose in the 1810s. For the next half-century, U.S. politics were torn in repeated controversies over foreign tariffs. To protect the fledgling American manufacturing from competition from industrial Britain, while agrarian plantation lords from the South insisted on keeping them low to facilitate foreign trade, the acrimonious struggle over the tariff went back and forth, frequently provoking the near secession of states from the Union, e.g. during South Carolina's nullification crisis of 1832. The third child and second son of Henry C. Carey joined Carey and Leah in 1814 and took over the publishing house of Carey and Leah on Matthew's retirement in 1821. Henry was 28 years old at the time. In 1835, at the age of 42, Henry C. Carey had retired from the business to dedicate himself to writing. Drawing from Senior Carey's first work, 1835, was an examination on the wages fund profits can be achieved, the wages fund doctrine, disputing Ricardo's assertion that higher profits can be achieved by lower wages. Carey's next work, Principles of Political Economy, 1837-40, was largely conventional and compatible with classical Ricardian theory. Henry C. Carey, resuming writing after an interruption, producing his seminal The Past, the Present, and the Future in 1848, where he introduced his famous Hillside theory of rent, rejecting the classical Ricardian theory, arguing that increasing agriculture moves from comparatively less fertile to more fertile lands, thereby reversing the Ricardian theory. Carey proposes the mental exercise of settlers arriving in the Virgin Valley and notes that the most fertile lands at the bottom of the valley tend to be most cluttered with trees, vegetation, and underbrush that have to be cleared first. So early settlers tend to first cultivate the less fertile hillside, being more accessible with sparser vegetation. and will only later move as extent of agriculture expands to the more fertile lands of the valley. On the basis of this, Carey also rejects the Malthusian population doctrine, arguing that increasing returns to scale in agriculture will allow increasing population. Carey picked up Senior's point on decreasing fertility, and argued that eventually there would be a balance between subsistence and population. Great law of molecular gravitation, applying an analog of the Newtonian theory of gravitation to human society. Carey took up his father's standard most forcefully. Carey promoted the idea of an American system, a combination of high tariffs, internal improvements, roads, canals, harbors, a national currency, and balanced budgets that he asserted was essential for American economic development. It was held up in contrast to the British system of laissez-faire free trade, at least as far as foreign trade was concerned. In domestic economy, Carey was a proponent of optimistic harmony doctrines, not dissimilar to liberals like Bastiat. Unlike his father, Carey was not, however, merely a polemicist. He looked to back up his arguments with detailed economic studies and statistics. Carey initiated ideas were laid out in the Principles 37 to 38, which had dissemination both in the U.S. and abroad, and quoted approvingly on the political stage, e.g. by Henry Clay's Whigs. Carey followed it up with similar tracts, elaborating on specific points. In older age, Carey tried to gather his ideas together in a monumental treatise, Principles of Social Science, in 1858-59. Carey attacked the principles of Adam Smith and the classical British economists as not only being inapplicable and even detrimental to the American economy, but as being wrong in themselves. Not only wrong on trade, but also wrong on population, rent, wages, and value. In Past, Present, and Future, 1848, Carey introduced his famous hillside theory of cultivation, arguing that increasing the scale agriculture moves from comparatively less fertile to more fertile lands, thereby reversing the Ricardian theory. Carey proposes the mental exercise of settlers arriving in the Virgin Valley. Okay, I've already read that. Carey proposes the mental exercise of settlers arriving in the Virgin Valley, and not that the most fertile lands at the bottom of the valley tend to be the most cluttered with trees, vegetation, and underbrush that have to be cleared first. So early settlers tend to first cultivate the less fertile hillside, being more accessible with sparser vegetation, and will only later move as extent of agriculture expands to the more fertile lands in the valley. However, Carey's efforts at constructing his own alternative economic theory were not very successful and much disparaged by economists for their vulgarity and inconsistency. Carey's theoretical efforts seem to be closer to the land theories of value of Cantillon and the physiocrats. Nonetheless, Carey is mostly remembered for connecting protectionism to economic development, and usually compared to his German nationalist contemporary Friedrich List. Carey's high-water moment came with the passage of the Morel Tariff in 1863, introducing protectionist tariffs in the United States. In the aftermath of the Civil War, Henry Carey urged the continuance and even increase of the tariff, and argued for a reduction in internal taxes and the elimination of the wartime income tax. Carey also emerged as a leading proponent of easy money, arguing against the resumption of specie payments and the maintenance of inconvertible notes. He welcomed the depreciation of the dollar to gold as acting as an effective tariff barrier. Carey was highly influential in his day, arguing the single most influential American economist of the 19th century. The core of his support was among the industrialists of Pennsylvania, and the University of Pennsylvania made Carey required reading for students. So some of his works were The Geography, History, and Statistics of America and the West Indies, Essay on the Rate of Wages, The Principles of Political Economy, The Laws of the Production and Distribution of Wealth, of the Causes which Retard Increase in the Production of Wealth and Improvement of the Physical and Moral Condition of Man, of the Causes which Retard Increase in the Number of Mankind, of the Causes which Retard Improvement in the Political Condition of Man, the Credit System in France, Great Britain, the United States, etc., etc., and so it continues. So, he wrote a lot. Primarily, I would say that the harmony of interest, agricultural, manufacturing, and commercial, 1851, and the harmony of free trade and the discords of British free trade are probably his best and most well-known works of scholarship. The American system versus the British system. Two systems are before the world. One looks to pauperism, ignorance, depopulation, and barbarism. The other, in increasing wealth, comfort, intelligence, combination of action, and civilization. One looks towards universal war, the other towards universal peace. One is the English-Dutch system, the system of Atlanticism. The other we may be proud to call the American system, for it is the only one ever devised, the tendency of which was that of elevating while equalizing the condition of man throughout the world. Such is the mission of the people of these United States. To raise the value of labor throughout the world, we need only to raise the value of our own. So, I think that most of these intelligence agencies that are trying to cause me ill will, or trying to cause ill will to the Forge Keno smelter, are actually promoting this system of Atlanticism, also known as the Anglo-Dutch system of economics. Most of these people are probably intel informants, and they're probably working in some way for the Zionist lobby, the Anglo-Dutch Zionist lobby. So the United States today is run by AIPAC, and that's probably the nicest way that I could put it, without necessarily going too hard and being too red-pilled for the algorithm. But quite a few of these people that allegedly try to attack me and stuff are actually un-American, and they support the system of globalism. They support the elites and the system of globalism, and they're probably just involved in intelligence, in the intelligence networks or the intelligence network apparatus, very likely. So I just wanted to read through that a little bit and just kind of show some stuff. I could also talk a bit about the Venetian system if anyone is interested in that. So the Venetian monetary system is one in which debtors' credit is applied and applicable, and basically it drives up wages, and The debtor's credit system was created in Venice, and it spread to Holland and then to England. And the debtor system is what is the predominant economic system in globalism, and it's a lot of the reason why wages never go up and prices are always so high, to deal with aspects of inflation. And the reason why is because of the control of the money supply by a very small number of elitists. A very small number of elitists who run said money supply and who keep people in perpetual debt bondage. It is effectively a system of debt slave servitude, or debt servitude. It's basically just wage slavery. It's a system of wage slavery that keeps people down and basically destroys any type of representative government, etc. Any type of actual true representative government. So this would primarily be my retort of anyone who talks about or alleges that there is a proportionally elected constitutional republic. That's just not really the case, because we have a money debt system. Just look at the debt ceiling of the federal government, of the national debt. It's like 14, 16 trillion. So that is a good retortion against the idea of a supposed proportional democracy and the lies of democracy. It's in fact the system of Atlanticism. Anyways, that's my rant for today. Krell says, "Morning, sir." What's up, Krell? How are you doing? Forge Gang! Dead Angel Inside says, FFF. What, you're not liking what I'm telling you? You don't like what this is about, bro? Like, why are you saying fucks? Alright, I have been your host, Imperator of Forge. This is just about the American versus the British system. Anyways, I'm done. Have a good day. Forge Gang! Let's see here. Greek says, "Good man, Warhammer. Hail, hail." Alright, see y'all later. Bye.